No, it was me. I had my mic muted and I apparently had that muted for a while. My bad. No, it was me. I had my mic muted and I apparently had that muted for a while. My bad. No, it was me. I had my mic muted and so hi, welcome in. Uh this is I have been rambling on for probably 20 minutes without my microphone on. Um because I am clueless as this is my first stream and I have no idea what I'm doing. I am making this up as I go along, as I do with a lot of things in life. So, this is just building some stock, using up some scrap yarn, building stock because I want to do some craft fairs, hopefully towards the end of the year, like September and stuff. But uh, again, I'll get this camera angle and I'll be able to stay in frame better. It's just I have a tendency to like to crochet in my lap as opposed to be like, oh, here, this is nice and on display. I'm like, no, like a gremlin. You'll see in the face cam. I'm like, I like to crochet like this and very quickly, but no, I have to show it off and be on display. This needs to be a grand total of da, 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 6.5 inches. Okay. This is actually leftover yarn from one of the other things that I made. It's a pocketbook. I made one for myself and was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I liked actually I originally made the pocketbook for my grandma. And I was like, you know what? I need another sort of bag. Not that I carry pocketbooks around, especially not to work. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure, I'm trying not to buy more yarn until I use up what I have. And yeah. So, since I don't know at what point I started rambling and nobody was here, I will go back and reiterate my ramble of I have been doing this for almost 12 years at this point, and I taught myself out of a book that happened to have both right-handed and left-handed crochet in it. And I am normally a righty. I will take my pen and, I will write with my right hand. Not yet. I am not an affiliate in Twitch, so I cannot actually accept those yet. I have to, I believe, reach 50 followers before I am able to accept any bits or anything. But that is one of the things I definitely looked into. But if you want, share the stream, get more people in, see if you can get more people to follow, and then hopefully we can reach 50 followers. I believe it's 50, and then I have to get approved by the affiliate program. That would be why there is no option to cheer or anything. I actually don't know what would happen if you tried to and the person couldn't accept them. They'd probably just disappear. Yes, share the love. That would be very much appreciated. But yeah, got some music chilling at least until racing goes on, and I'll have that playing in the background. But it's one of those I never wanted to be, just another gaming streamer. I just wanted to I've always wanted to do streams where I stream my crafts because this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. I'm not good at video games. I'm absolutely not good at video games. But we will we'll get there. Right now this is just the crocheting basic, building stock. Eventually I want to stream some of my game development because I have a whole world like in my head built that I just need to make the assets for and figure out how to program everything. So that will be alternative. And maybe occasionally I'll sit here and I'll play games when I don't feel like crafting or when I have enough stock built up temporarily, don't have to restock or completely be like, oh, yes, let me figure out what I can sell to people. Because if I was going to like an anime convention, I have plenty of ideas of what I can sit there and sell. But for the general population, I have zero idea of what they want. So definitely the first couple of craft fairs will be trial and error of, oh, let me bring a wide selection of everything that I can do. Like I have a bunch of different types of keychains. I have the different pocketbooks, different. I need to figure out more stuffed animals, but this is the small, easily packable things because my car is tiny and does not like being loaded down. So we are going. Twitch looks happy at the moment. Let's see, where am I at with this? One of these days I'll have to make like a template so I don't have to be like, oh yes, let me lay this out. Just lay it against it. So I need to go to 6.5 inches. So I'm a little over halfway there. I believe it's 6.5. Yes. Okay. Great. Fantastic. So let us go as I reach off screen, get a drink of water. Hydration is very important. Because for whatever reason, my room is ridiculously warm compared to the rest of the house. I have my window open, my fan is going, and yet I still feel like I'm in a sauna. This is one of these days. I'll also figure out better what to talk about when I'm doing these sort of things. I have no idea what to talk about. I know I'm partially insane already, but just going on rambling tangents definitely I'll lose my train of thought if I don't have, I'm not responding to questions or inquiries in general, but I'll get over it. trying to think what the very first thing that made was. And I don't think I actually finished my the very first project. I'm pretty sure I scrapped it. Uh, because I was very ambitious. I decided to try and start with making a blanket as my very first project. I got the pattern from that very first book that taught me that I learned how to crochet from, and it did not, I don't know if I got annoyed with it or what happened, but I just decided that nope, I'm not gonna finish that. I couldn't even tell you what the very first thing that I finished was. Probably some sort of stuffed animal because that was what I leaned very heavy into, where I started just I was like, "Oh, hey, I don't want to buy a stuffed animal," or I couldn't afford it at the time. So let me make probably like a bear or something. But then as I started getting more, I probably got a couple of pattern books for, birthdays and whatnot. And then I found a lovely website called Ravelry where I get a lot of patterns from. And I definitely still do make my own patterns. It was like, oh, here's a cool pattern I found, but I bet you I can do it better. So I've done all sorts of like various commissions where I'll take a piece of clip art, I'll take a little sketch, vague descriptions, and I'll make them. Some of my favorite things to design are like the Pokemon patterns. Um, Again, one of the overly ambitious goals of mine is to make a pattern for every single one of the, what are we now, 1,000 plus Pokemon. I have started doing little like teeny tiny versions of them just in the with the embroidery floss, just to be like, yes, I'm not going to be able to fit 1,000 plushies in my room and have room to do anything else in. So I wanted to make them teeny tiny because then I could put them in a display case and go from there. But that'll be a definitely a project that is going to be never ending because by the time I get caught up with like 100 Pokemon, there'll be like 500 more. But one of these days, I'll become more eloquent as I talk, as we chit chat. I just don't know what to talk about. I feel like a lot of this stream is going to be hey, I have no idea what to talk about. Let me just ramble into random stories. Some of the keychains that I designed started as like, oh, I run a laser cutter at work. So I have access to cut things that I want, especially when work pisses me off. And so that's what started a lot of like these I can do this without knocking everything over. So I made this little tag that is a bass clef. So it's music because my mom reads bass clef. She plays bassoon. I play bassoon. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me make her for Christmas. So that this was I made her a keychain for Christmas. Then like the following year, I made a little dude playing bassoon. And I'm like, you know what? These are very quick and simple. I can make these pretty easy. This is probably the most popular one because everybody seems to forget that this clef exists. Because I wish this clef, I could forget this clef exists because I read this as tenor clef, but if you're a viola, you read it as alto clef, but it is the dumbest clef. It means I have to transpose to a different key, and I'm like, not different key, but the notes are not in the same spot anymore. So I'm like, no, I'm not okay with this anymore. I don't. But since I have access to that sort of stuff, I came up with those ideas for simple things that I use scrap that otherwise would not be useful for anything because the parts that I make at work just wouldn't like that the part the piece of scrap metal is not big enough for any of the parts that I actually use that material for. So I'm recycling. We'll go with that one. Recycling. Reducing scrap and making cool things while I'm at it. I think I have another inch or two to go on this. But that is not in the right stitch. Yeah, that one's. What did I do? No, because that's supposed to go there. That needs to go in there. And then I can. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I started talking and now I can't focus on what I'm doing here. Okay. Now that that's back on track. Like, I know how the pattern's supposed to go, but. Because then eventually this will be folded up, sewn on the sides, have a little flap that goes over it, and then I have my buttons that I gotta dig out my yarn needle so I can sew this on. Then I will. Normally, what I do when I'm doing these is I will do them in batches. I will sit here, I will make just all the flat things until I have like 5 or 10. I'll pick a number and it'll be everything will be, oh, okay, here's the finished flat thing. And then I'll go back and do a string of sewing everything together. So this way I can then go and be like, yay, I can take a break from the actual crocheting and then it becomes assembly. And I try and batch it like that. This way I'm not, I feel like I can make them faster because I'll get into a rhythm of making the fabric for it. And then it will go into making like taking that, it, I don't know, I guess this is just how I manufacture things. I assembly line them. Here's all of step one. And then we go into step two, then step three, and then it's done, in theory. But we will get there. And depending if it's something like I could probably make the plush Pokeballs in my sleep at this point because I have made so many Pokeballs over the course of my many, 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 many years of crocheting. Next time I stream, I will have some more samples that I can just like, grab off here and be like, oh yes, this is one of those things. Like here's a set of earrings that I make in the packaging that I would ship it through my Etsy. Then here's a bracelet that you can't really tell. but this is one of those drawstring adjustable bracelets, friendship bracelets, with my race car number 92 in my car colors, even though my car now technically also has silver because we changed the paint scheme after I made this. So this is, I make, there's not a craft I don't think that I haven't at least tried once, but I definitely, yarn is my preferred medium. So it's, have I tried drawing? Yes. Am I good at it? Personally, I'm like, yeah, you can tell what I'm drawing, but I'm definitely not, what I would consider very good at it. It takes me way too much work to get to a point where I'm happy with something, but that will definitely, it I don't feel like it's worth it going into, oh, let me hone my skill in that because it's the whole, jack of all trades, master of none. So I can do it and I'll incorporate various skills into other crafts, but crocheting has always been my preferred medium because I can visualize how I want the end product to be. And one more row, I believe. It's just one of those I can pretty easily conceptualize how I want, if I'm trying to create like a stuffed animal from scratch. It might take me a couple of, go try and pull out and which is called frogging. I still don't actually know where that term came from, but if you have to rip out all of your yarn, it's called frogging for some reason. Um, but I like to think I'm pretty good at ending up with a final product that is what I intended. I haven't really attempted to make clothing at all because that is a whole other can of worms when it comes to uh, designing the patterns. So I tend to stick to, oh, let me make this accessory, this little bag, this okay, let me, what's this? 6.5. Fantastic. Now let me pull back up my pattern again so I can verify what I'm supposed to do next. Okay. I believe, let's see, we can get rid of you. I'll figure out a better layout so I'm not looking at like 15 screens over that way. When I probably need to set up like my iPad with my patterns on it just so I can see what I'm doing. Excuse me. And not be twisting in awkward manners in order to get to where I need to. Okay. So then this is just single crochet across everything. Seven. Let's skip 3. No, just skip 1. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yay, I can count to 7. So now that I've made the pattern to the point of where the maximum dimension, where it'll fold over nicely and then still have enough of a flap to go, over, and then the button will get sewn on there. Now I start the edging part of this. And then, just so I don't screw this up the first time I've done this in a while, let me pull up this. Okay. Because I'll show this off now. You can see how this creates a much cleaner looking edge than this part does, and it makes it easier to assemble later. Just so this way, you usually like, granny squares when you're making blankets, and anytime that you need something where you have to assemble it. Sometimes you can get away with having the raw edges if that's the aesthetic you're going for, but because these are meant to be uh sealed, but like sewn together, it makes it just a bit easier to have a nice where you can fold it and hey, here's edges, nice convenient loops to make everything pretty. Ugh. Now these are designed with the size of not quite pro level. Although maybe with this, but these are designed to have the to hold gift cards. I know my mom actually bought a bunch of them for her coworkers, where she got them gift cards for Christmas, and you put them like so the gift cards fit in here perfectly. It makes it a little bit fancier than just having like, oh, here's just the cardboard. I don't know. It's like when you get the fancy tins for Christmas or whatever holiday. Just dresses things up a little bit. Plus, it doesn't take too long to make, and we can go from there. Then this will end up giving the full, the finished size. Let me see if I have a gift card of a sort that I can show you how it would fit once this is done. I do need to swing around and grab my yarn needle because I didn't grab one over here in preparation like I did with everything else. And this is okay. I don't even have my scissors out. Wow, I am so unprepared for this. I swear I am just making this up as I go along. It'll be a little chaotic like this for a while. Okay, that's done. I need my scissors, my snips, my yarn needles. Okay. So this will be, let's see, do I have a card? Hey, great. That is gift card sized. So now that that is nice and secured, and my hook keeps trying to roll away. Hiding ends is always probably the most tedious part of crocheting, which when I do it, I try and do it in a way that I try and do it as I'm working so I don't have to hide things later because going back in and sewing things closed is the worst. So we have the buttonhole here, but the way that this will go, it'll get folded up and it'll get sewn along these edges with the button being sewn on, and it'll be perfect for the gift cards. And then it's just a little card wallet that, again, he works to get gift cards as presents and just things to make lives a little easier, make dress them up. I'm trying. Okay, so that is one. Now, sometimes what I'll do, and like I said, it's been a while since I've made these, is I will use the actual tail of the yarn, cut it long enough so I can use that to sew things up. But since I didn't, that's not going to be a priority right now. Got the, bunch of random buttons. That probably works best. I don't know. Which buttons should we go with? We have options with this yarn. Which button should we go with? The bright green, the mint green, or the light blue? What do y'all think? Because then we could also just go with a dark blue for more contrast. I also have a white button. I got a bunch of these buttons on the clearance section of Michael's. So this is what I mean. I like the light green one, I think, the best with those. But then again, maybe I'll do it on, I'll make 3 of these before I start sewing them. So that will go, I'll make 4. That's 2 different colors. Okay, that works. As I can't make decisions to save my life. Okay. So we start with the 16 chains. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, sometimes with this pattern, with the different yarns, like you might have to not follow exactly. I'd have to add a couple of repeats of the pattern just to make sure it stays the right size. But right? No, I did do that correctly. Okay. One of these one of these times I'll get this to cooperate right. Should have enough there to do three and then have enough thread to sew everything together. So let's try and get these other two done so then I can sew it together, we can show things off, and then I can work on swapping packaging around and reorganizing some of my bins to take to my craft fairs. Because I recently decided that I was going to go with a pegboard, and it didn't make sense for me to take bags like this that, you know, don't have a hang tag on them when the little earring cards do have a hang tag or have the hole for a pegboard. So now I have to take all of them out of these bags, but hold on to the bags in case I do sell things via my Etsy shop or once I get the Square shop set up. Then we can have fun sitting here and, have orders being packed. Ideally, again, delusions of grandeur. I cannot speak for the life of me. But then again, that's what happens when I've been up since 5:30 this morning. Fingers cooperate. Yeah, so I don't know. It's not never a good thing when I can go like this and, my hands crunch. That's never a positive thing. But that's why I'm trying to find other um crafts that I can make that don't, you know, like the massive blanket that I made was great and it's really nice and super warm, but it's the sheer bulk of it made it very heavy and difficult to maneuver and work with. So doing something like that, I have to figure out what works with making things small and portable because I tend to like to carry all of my crocheting around with me wherever. And then we and then assemble in place later. But I've been slowly piecemealing my displays together with how I want to display my various merch where I have those wire cubes that I you can hang things from or that stack tall and make it easy to uh, change up the displays as needed depending on how it fit into different spaces. I haven't really done many uh, craft fairs since coming back to New York. I've always wanted to do the country fair around here, but it was, oh yeah, I'll do it, and then I missed the setup deadline, or I didn't have enough stuff on hand, and I'm like, I'm not gonna drive myself crazy by trying to completely stock things up to the point where, oh well, I guess I'm not sleeping for a week straight to try and get everything finished, and I don't even know what to make. So that is definitely probably the biggest thing, and I have a tendency to overthink a lot of things. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, I wanna make stuffed animals, but I wanna make, something cute and adorable. I wanna make, you know, I wanna make, like, a signature mark on things, but I don't have a solid plan on what exactly I want to make. Specifics, obviously yarn crafts, but because I'm always like, "Oh, I think this will be a good idea. I think that'll be a good idea," but I don't have that much space to bring things with me, especially when I don't know what types of things are gonna sell where. So I definitely have to pick and choose, which is why I think the keychains are definitely a good place to start because I can fit a lot of them in a very small amount of space and not need to turn my car into a TARDIS because my car is almost as old as long as many years as I have been crocheting, my car has been in existence. And let me tell you, it feels every single one of those 20 years. It definitely drives like it's about to fall apart any moment. But so doing what I can with what I have, with the 7 years I lived up away at college, I acquired a ton of crafting supplies. So then when I moved back home, trying to consolidate my craft supplies that were here and my craft supplies that moved back to the state with me was an adventure and a half because I would hoard everything. Oh, these little extra bits from those little kitty craft projects. Ah, I could use that for something. And now, granted, more than once it had turned to the point where it was a very, you know, it was a good thing I had that because it was useful. But other than that, it was definitely one of those like, yeah, no, this is just in the way at this point. So when I was consolidating everything, I ended up buying a like 15-foot shed that's out in the backyard. So I had a place where this is where I can store all of my craft supplies and all of my display stuff and all of that. So I have probably like four, I don't know what size, but it's the not the gigantic totes, but the pretty big totes of just various yarn that I've either bought or I have acquired because people are like, "Oh, you use yarn here." My mother was getting rid of this. My wife was getting rid of this, whatever. So, I've inherited a lot of yarn. I've inherited a lot of yarn supplies. Notions technically is what they're called. But between what I have, you know, I'm trying to set up, oh, this is my workspace so I can have everything easily accessible here, but obviously it's not feasible since this is my room and I have to live here too. And if I moved all of my craft supplies here, I would be sleeping out in my shed because there would not be any room in here for me. I'm not used to this whole proper posture thing. Hold on. Gotta crack my back, gotta figure out better means of doing things. uh, I'm like, I'm used to, again, slouching and working on my crafts back here. So sitting up nice and proper. I barely do this when I'm playing my music, which is a problem because I should be better and I'm not. Can we no. See, I automatically default to pulling it over here and looking down like this, that doesn't help anybody because you can't see it unless I'm back here and I go full screen, which I can do. I can go like this. And now the other camera doesn't do anything, but you can't see anything. So we're gonna try and learn to not do that and instead go back to this camera to where I can just prop my elbows up between my desks and hopefully you can see everything properly. One of these days I will learn what I'm doing and figure it all out. Ugh. Let's see, what other fun and interesting things that I can tell you about my crocheting. When I was up at college, I forget what event I was selling things at. It might have been like the holiday fair in the campus center. I actually had somebody who ran a little like public access channel at the local TV station who was like, "Oh man, this is so cool. Do you want to come for an interview?" So I was actually interviewed for a little public access channel up in Massachusetts. So I got a TV interview because they really liked my crocheting. They bought like $200 worth of plushies and stuff from me and was like, "This is great. Come be a guest on my TV show." I was like, "Sure." That was before I rebranded all of my stuff to this Kazul Studios. It was used to be Salmon Ray Crafts because back in high school, I had a friend Ray, and she would also do various little crafty things with me. And again, we had all of these grand plans, and then she went away to school. I went away to a different school, and we drifted apart. Like most of what happens when you have, school relationships. But it is what it is. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can't keep it as Sam and Ray Crafts since there is no Ray. It's only Sam. And I was doing LARPing at the time, all of my other various things, and I decided, you know what, Kazul Studios has a nice ring to it. So we're gonna go with that as my new username and across everything. So I will never I know exactly why my room is so hot because it's in an awkward location. I have the stairs right below that closet from the outside of the room. So it is, I have the worst possible location for the heat flow in my house because my room is either the coldest room or the hottest room. And therefore, my sinuses are like, nah, you don't get to breathe anymore. So here, I will do a quick comparison of the two. That extra lining also helps make the corners nicer. So you can see that nice, finished corner as opposed to this extra like this ridge over here. Also, again, I don't have to weave this end in because I catch it when I'm doing the edging after the fact. And it also adds the like extra quarter inch on both sides to just be like, oh, here's that little like seam allowance is what you would call it if you were sewing. Now, that's something that I never really got into. I can mend things just fine, and I much prefer using a hand sewing anything with needle and thread. Uh, but my grandma bought me a sewing machine. I had asked for a sewing machine, um, and I was expecting, oh, just yield generic, Singer or whatever cheap portable sewing machine. She found one in purple. So there may be a future stream where I have that set up and y'all can watch me attempt to sew linings with a sewing machine that I have yet to actually use. But there's a learning process for everything, and got to start somewhere. Um, let's see. One of the my favorite things that I have ever made, ever created, completely original pattern was a small like dragon skeleton plushie. It was a commission for somebody who wanted a Draco Lich. So, dragons, undead dragon. That was probably the one that I'm super happy with how it came out. Was definitely one of my favorite things to make. It was a pain because some of the detailing of, hey, it's a skeleton, but it's one of my like go-to favorites to show off. I gotta make another one some point. Gotta dig out the pattern for that. I have, I know I still have the pattern. It's somewhere around here, but I've definitely, let's see, making clothing in general is a challenge because I am on the larger size, and a lot of patterns they are designed for a very specific body type of which I am not. So anytime I'm trying to make clothing, I either have to find the baggy or like the loose clothing, or have the plus size versions, which a lot of times patterns won't go up that way. So then that means I have to modify them, which is again a headache and a half because certain patterns don't adjust well. And so it's definitely a challenge to try and be like, oh man, I really like the way that sweater looks, but I can't make it and follow the pattern as is. However, recently I've found a couple patterns that do go up large enough where I was able to get use a different yarn and different hook to make things larger. And therefore, or it was, hey, this is the basic template for this, and you can just make it specifically to your size. So some of them I'm like, okay, I need to actually learn how to check my gauge, which is, oh, how many stitches per inch? Because you don't do that, you try and make out a piece of clothing or something, it'll end up being incredibly oversized or way too small. And then you finish this whole thing and you're like, well, now I have to scrap all of it. That is such a frustrating feeling when you get to a point where it's, oh man, I did a thing and it's completely the wrong size, but you bought like exactly enough yarn for it, and now you're like, well, I'm not gonna waste all of this. So now it's time to undo everything, try again. But that's probably with any, you know, creative project like that, you get so far into it and then you have to stop because something doesn't line up properly, something is lopsided, and you can get away with a lot like if you're making a scarf or some sort of thing that is like a droopy fabric or a very loose fitting thing. But when it's supposed to be very like, form fit or it's supposed to fit a certain way. When it doesn't, then you just get the incredibly like frustrating, and it's like if you were doing a school assignment and you had to write an essay and you misunderstood the prompt and you were writing the conclusion of your essay and now you have to redo everything because you figured, well, that's not the, that's completely the wrong topic. So it's trial and error, and there's definitely been shares of frustration when, oh, I'm trying to decipher a pattern and the whole everything just doesn't work in the slightest, and I'm drifting off the camera again. Here, let's push this forward, tilt this way a little bit. Let's Does this work? Can We're doing live on air editing. This works. This is slightly more comfortable for me. Again, slight problems that, you know, chat is this way. And if you're watching, looking at the face cam, I'm like, oh, let me just, well, you can see the back of my head. That's all you get to see. So I'm trying to, keep myself angled slightly so I can catch if anybody says anything, anybody has any questions. Let me pop my hands and get my fingers to stop cramping for a minute. Let's not throw my yarn needle all the way across everything. And we continue and pick right up where we were. But eh, it's trying to make, I'm going to call it generic things, has always been sort of, a challenge because I'm like, yes, I like, the crochet aesthetic, but I don't know how other people find it. I don't relate to a lot of people's, like a lot of, other people's likes and dislikes and what have you. So I'm always trying to figure out, oh, hey, what would be a good idea to sell, to even just have it as an option. Because if it was up to me, I'd have nothing but nerd stuff, which I know is not a problem. I know is definitely has a market, but so usually what I'll do is I'll take a commission and then be like, oh, hey, I'll show off this commission, and a lot of people will be interested in it, and I will go from there and then make more of this exact same thing and then make variations on it just to keep things in. Yeah, we're gonna ignore that. Uh, I don't know how to mute things, change things. How do I? Don't click links. We're not gonna. I will, yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. Yeah, because that is very clearly not a good idea. Anyways, now that that's out of the way. Okay. So again, I don't know chat commands. This is quite literally my first stream, but I know the general rules of the internet. When somebody gives you links like that and their account was created 2 days ago, you don't you don't trust them. Anyways, so back to what was I rambling about this time? Rambling to the point. Oh, again, let me know if I'm drifting off stream. I think I will probably stream until around 9 o'clock. I think, you know, 3-ish hours is a good first stream, and it'll definitely give me a chance to chill and figure things out. Maybe do a little bit more research into commands and setting things up. Also, there's a race on at that point. I kind of want to go wrong. I swear I know how to English. I promise you. English is my first language. But there is a race that I want to go watch. So, 9 o'clock, another hour ish. Haven't quite figured out like how what I want to do for a actual streaming schedule. Fridays usually I'm pretty free and have time where I can sit here and work on this. Um, but I want to try and stream maybe Tuesday nights also, just to get an additional day. And then I don't want to commit to anything on the weekends because that can very easily change, especially once racing season starts. Then my Saturdays are completely booked because I'll be working camera or replay camera out at the racetrack, and don't have that is an all day thing, and there will not be time unless it is a very early morning stream. And at that point, I will be dead tired by the end of the night. At least on Fridays, even if I have work in the morning, I can. I mean, that's why they make caffeine. That's how I survive most of my days: caffeine and spite. So I will probably be uploading the like VODs of these streams over on my YouTube channel. Just not that there's anything particularly interesting in them, not yet, but just to have like an archive of just hey, if somebody wanted to go back and see, hey, you're like, oh, you showed off this thing in this one stream, can you make this again, or for posterity's sake. I'm gonna so I'll eventually edit my bio to have a link to the YouTube channel if you want to go watch the VODs, maybe mostly probably, if I get to gameplay or any sort of actual not rambling nonsense like this. But the channel is under the same name, Kizzle Studios. I will eventually post over there. I figured it'll probably be like a day or two if I need to. I got to see how long it would actually take me to upload the stream directly. But again, drifting off stream. One of these days, again, what I really need to do is mark on my table here like an outline of, hey, stay within this box, because the the view that I have that I can make sure, hey, what you can see is all the way behind me. So I don't catch unless I'm like, oh, let me twist and turn. I don't quite catch when I drift off stream. So that is 6.5. So we are good to start the edging again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, skip 1, 7, and that is to just make sure there's enough room for the buttonhole. Then we go back across, and we get to do the whole edging again. These don't take too long. They don't use up too much yarn. And then they look cool and mix it up a little bit where it's not, oh, here's a, pocketbook again. Here's an accessory to put in the pocketbook. Well, if I could figure out how to lower the heat in my room to the point where my sinuses weren't dying, I would probably be singing along to the music I have in the background. But right now it would come out as croaky frogs. Croaky frogs? Froggy croaks. English, I swear. I do know it. One of the fun things that I had made at one point was I was in college. It was my audio engineering class or audio design, like game design audio. Um, and I was working on making uh, these big like plush dice because everybody has the fuzzy dice or for the not everybody, but people know what the fuzzy dice to hang off the rear view mirror is. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's a thing, and I can make basic shapes, it should be easy enough to make all of the like standard dice set. So a D20 or 20-sided die. So I made one of the, sorry, I was working on one. And the professor was like, oh, that's awesome. I want one. So he bought a 20-sided plush dice for me from me. and I don't know. I got away with so much in that class. I missed half of those classes because I had gotten like maybe 2 hours of sleep because that's when had started working overnights at a gas station on the turnpike at a truck stop. So let me tell you, there were some characters there, but I would have class on Friday mornings at like 9 o'clock. I wouldn't get home until 7 o'clock. So by the time I like changed and fell into bed, I got like an hour of sleep, an hour and a half, at most 2 hours if I got out a little early and didn't hit traffic. But that I was not functioning. So I missed probably half of those classes, but still did the work, still handed in everything, and still got an A in that class. And then they didn't grade. Uh, it was A, B, C, or NR, which was basically if you didn't get a C, it was as if you never took the class. Because there would definitely be sometimes when there was one class that I just stopped going to, and basically it's called punting. It's like, yeah, no, there's no way to possibly that I'm gonna pass this class, so I'm just gonna stop going. That was a calculus class at 8 o'clock in the morning. That was definitely not something that was fun. Certain classes you can deal with it that early in the morning, but certain classes like advanced calculus should not be at 8 o'clock in the morning. That was definitely a poor decision on my part, considering I didn't even need it at the time. At one point, I was trying to double major with the IMGD and computer science, but I was doing the art side of the IMGD, which is interactive media and game development. Um, so there was less overlap classes, and I ended up not going for the computer science double major because I still took a lot of the advanced um, like software engineering classes. Let me tell you, taking software engineering, game design, what was that? Whatever the first entry level, like, oh, where you actually have to make a game every week. Not fully fledged, but very basic, very uh simple with a I think it was the professor who wrote the programming language we used. It was like a combination. It was Perlin script or something like that. It was like the Perlenspiel. So it was this little web-based like browser games with JavaScript in the background. And I got burned out that that semester with those combination of classes did not cooperate very well, and there was a couple of questionable game choices. Yeah, there was definitely there was one week that the game that I had ended up making involved a lot of the Wilhelm scream that everybody like knows about. It it was basically a bunch of colorful blocks, and it was called the block party. So you had to go around and collect your friends and put them in your backpack because reasons. Um, and for whatever reason, I had the sound effect of when you picked up your friend be the uh the Wilhelm scream. So everybody kind of looked at me like I was concerned. And I would do woobles if I had any left to do, but I don't have any more right now. and I need to, you know, tax season is right around the corner. And taxes are not nice. So I need to make sure I can pay that first. But I do have all of the hooks from all of the woobles I've done. Harry Potter, Hermione, Patronus. So all of these crochet hooks in this little bucket right here are all from the various kits that I've done. I have one more of these. See, I would get the Pusheen cat, but I could make my own Pusheen cat. But it is a very cute Pusheen cat. Maybe I'll get next time I order some, I will definitely save them to do like on stream. But I currently don't have any kits at the moment that I have undone. I was thinking that where I'd be like, oh, let me make the kits because I have over here. Here's the fox wooble, the the Hedwig wooble. They live in a little plant that I got from a crochet kit, from not a brand of anything in particular. I have a PO box set up. And at some point, listen, I'll set up an area. Yeah, just deliver there. I'll make the kits on stream. But we gotta get the follower count up before I can do any sort of like donations. Everything's Kazul Studios. 100%. All of my socials are Kazul Studios. All one word. Cash App, Venmo. It should all be like the same profile picture. The little Kazul Studios dragon. This guy. This I did draw. So this I can say I did draw it on. This is all Photoshop. I'd actually drawn it by pencil and then I outlined it and colored. He needs a name. The little dragon dude needs a name. My camera can focus. But that I use that as my profile picture on pretty much everything. Keep it nice and simple. But it will see who's yes, I did figure that one out, Tom. Nom 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 nom. Considering you've been the only one chatting with me this whole time. I know there are other people here, but Tom deals with my insanity at work. He's one of the designated people to deal with my insanity at work. Let's go with that. Ugh. So speaking of, I'm probably going to be off for like Thursday, Friday next week, and then the following entire week because I'm caught up and nobody can complain that listen, I had to make a like double month's order because people who weren't involved in the department, no, you can't complain because then Bill will get mad at you because he doesn't want to deal with an unhappy me. Who are you going to complain to? Andy? What's he going to do about it? Zena said he would try and stop by here too, but he was also on a flight, so who knows. But no, I definitely was considering getting some of the crochet kits to. Oh, I screwed that up again. Like you get some crochet kits whether they're on like Amazon or anything, because that's another thing I can do is set up like an Amazon wish list. Again, I'm not trying to like e-beg or anything. I'm trying to think. I know they just I don't know if there are any like current ones that I'm like, oh man, I really really want. But yeah, no, I'll figure it out and I'll send you the links of the ones that I want to get. Because actually, here I'm gonna move the camera so you can see where I have my woobles stored at the moment. I have my nice little shelf up there where I have those, and then I have a little hanging basket up there. That's where the other ones go. And then I have my little Patronus guy chilling up there. So I do have my woobles on display. If I can do this without screwing up everything. Okay. Yes, very much all the purple. If you haven't figured that out yet, that is my favorite color. Oh yeah, I have the purple LED lights you can kind of see in the background over there. They go over there. Uh, my grandma did make the purple curtains for me. My Cricut is purple, but I'm not like opposed. Listen, I need a new car, period. But to start out with, I need my current car to last, and then I want to get not one of those like in your face purple, but like a darker purple, maybe like this, or that like dark midnight like metallic. But if I do get that, I want that to be my preferred. I want to get my ideal car right now would be a Toyota 4Runner. It's just it's plenty of cargo space and it just looks really mean. Uh but my credit would not allow for that right now because adulting sucks. So it is more of the what do people have available that I can afford before I worry about, oh, yes, I want this and I need it in this color and I need all of these features. I'm going to start looking into a lease by like the end of the year. At the very least, start looking to test drive. Yeah, I mean, even if you want to get kits that you want, I'll make them and I'll bring them back to you. I have no problem doing that. I know I don't need enough like more things to display around here, but I have absolutely zero problem with being like, oh yes, I want this, but I don't have the skills to do it. So here, you make this. And then, down the line, maybe that'll get me brand deals. Maybe it'll get to the point where Woobles just sends me the new kits to test. Be like, here, make sure this works. That'd be really cool. Or even like how everybody has those like brand deals or sponsorship deals, whatever. Just some miscellaneous yarn company. Yes, send me free yarn, please. But so I did find a pattern that I'm gonna I'm waiting on getting the hardware that goes with it, but it's for like the lanyards for holding the keys. But so I ordered a couple of more bins. I ordered What all did I order? Oh yeah, the vacuum storage bags, so I can take all of like the yarn stuff and compress it down and hopefully be able to fit, more stuff into a bin than would normally fit. And then I got these like the swivel hook like keychains, so I can put the lanyards, use that, and then they're all different colors, so I can pick whichever one goes to the like whatever matches the color of yarn. Like, oh, if I was using this, I could use the like silver uh, hardware. That's always the biggest thing is trying to find all the hardware that works well, or like, oh, I can get enough of this that it's going to be worth it. But I'm definitely trying to figure out again the like small items that I can make a bunch of that display nicely and can have that hopefully people will buy. So yes, I definitely do crochet quicker than your average bear. Um, it's it comes with the whole been doing it for 20 something years. So this is what I mean. Like when I can just sit here and once I actually have the pattern like back under my hands, I can sit here and just go. Or if it's something where it's I don't have to count, I don't have yeah, I'm speed running crochet. Let's go with that. Speed running the art of crochet. Well, that would be something interesting at some point where get like a couple of a same kit and just see how quickly I can make them and then said like, oh, here's the quickest I've ever made this kit is, I can make this in 5 minutes. My hands wouldn't do that. Although I did used to be able to make the Pokeballs, and I think it was like a grand total of like 20 minutes, not completely assembled, but the outside like skin of them, because I can make it where I could stuff them later. And so I would just sit in class, have the three colors, and just go, while I'm paying attention. Because I'm never one, I can't take notes in a lecture. I need to sit there and be doing something else, and I'll pick up as it like with the lecture going on in the background. If you expect me to sit there and like take notes of somebody talking to me, I'm like that's I'm going to be focused on writing and not actually absorbing any of the information that you're telling me. And so it's definitely one of those of like, eh. I also I pick things up pretty quickly, so everybody learns differently. And I've definitely been yeah, tell me once and then let me try it as opposed to let me, show me how to do it. If it's like operating a new machine or threading certain things, I'm like, okay, yes, you do it once because I don't want to touch this machine because then I'll break it. Uh, but when it comes to at least academic stuff, it's one of those I can read it once and then it sticks for a while. What I do like about that, like, I like that this yarn ends up making it like there's still kind of a pattern, but it's it's not like just like it's not a perfect stripe pattern. It's not a perfect zigzag or whatever. Because when I made the swatches of fabric that I'm using for my background, which I have them, sitting over here. So this is a different style of crocheting. This is the Tunisian crocheting where you use like the Afghan hook or the Tunisian hook, which is a very long hook, and you basically this is almost like if crocheting and knitting had a baby. but like this zigzags. So this one of the pocketbooks I made is made with this sort of stitch. And then this one is just a super fancy, like fluffy yarn that is a pain to do anything else with. But this is just normal crocheted because you can see how it kind of there's if I stretch it out, there's I need to put a light behind it, but there's just a different thing. Yeah, basically. It's well, so this is the that chenille fabric. So it definitely is like those microfiber cloths that you're supposed to use for glasses that I don't. I just use my sleeves, which is a problem when I had to replace the cuffs on my sleeves. This is crocheted too. But this is the sleeves had gotten all like the seams had ripped, the everything got torn up. So I just, you know, replaced them. I'm like, "Hey, this had been sitting in my like project list. This is my old college hoodie. This is the only hoodie that I have from college. Not that you can see that, but it was one of those. I'm like, I don't want to get rid of this hoodie, so I fixed the sleeves because otherwise my grandma's starting to cut hoodies off of me if they're in too much of disrepair. As the family seamstress, she definitely tends to be like, "Oh, if you don't get rid of that, I'm gonna cut it up." It's like, "Grandma, I'm still wearing it. I don't care." She's very Italian, so yeah. No, my glasses are so scratched up from the sheer amount of oils I deal with at work. The oils that get on my gloves, the fact that I just use my sweatshirt uh sleeves to clean my glasses. That and they're also probably like a year older than they should be before you get them replaced. But I can still see, so that's all that matters. Not that I really need to see with when I'm doing this. Although I did just realize that I can kind of cheat with there is a bit of a delay, but I can watch in the camera what I'm doing, so I can make it appear like I'm not looking at what I'm crocheting. Again, if I wasn't doing this alternating pattern of two different stitches, I definitely could be like, "Oh, yes, let me just look over here and do it all by feel and not even looking at what I'm doing." So, uh, what should I do for dinner? I think I have some Elios in the freezer. There's frozen pizza. Trying to think, I don't even know what leftovers we have, if anything. But yeah, no, pizza is probably pizza and then cookies. Dinner of champions. Although the true breakfast of champions is a monster and a Snickers bar. Because anytime that me and dad would go on we would wake up stupid early to go to a trip, or even when I worked my very first job, I worked in a barn. I cleaned the stalls, but and ever since that, it was always that time. That was breakfast. That was two Benadryls because I was allergic to the hay. So the hay would get all over me and aggravate my allergies. So it was two Benadryls and a monster so I wouldn't fall asleep, and then a Snickers bar because I'm not a breakfast person. I like need to actually be awake for a couple of hours before I can stomach anything. I just don't have an appetite in the morning. But caffeine, you can give that to me at any time. I will absolutely, which is probably a problem. I probably have too much of a caffeine tolerance to the point where I very rarely get the jitters. I think the last time that I actively noticed that I got the jitters, it was when I was picking my dad up from the airport. Uh, Before COVID at this point. Uh, and it was I had to wake up stupid early. I had to drive his truck because he had a Tahoe at the time, and I think I was driving Camry or something, and so I had to go pick him up from JFK, I think it was. And I'm like, okay, fine. Let me have my normal monster to wake up. And then let me get a coffee when I was waiting for him in the airport. And I didn't just get a coffee, I got one of those espresso coffees, and it was a large coffee. And I think I downed that in like 10 minutes, if that. So at that point, I was like, and giggly and hyper. And that was definitely a bad case of the jitters. But I've since toned it down, or I just have so much caffeine at work regularly that it doesn't affect me anymore. Ugh. Trying to finish this so I can at least start sewing them together before I cut stream for the night. Ugh. Eventually, I'll figure out all the little like fun things that we can do with the whatever little chat what are they plugins, whatever, any sort of fun things. Maybe have shared music that people can play and request songs. Ugh. Too old for this. If I didn't have to clean this morning, I probably would have been better, bit more fresh faced. I should probably pick like a weekend day, maybe try and stream a little bit on Sunday. But eventually I'll figure out a nice, solid schedule to try and make this consistent. And then, yeah, I'll probably go for like another 20 minutes and cut it not quite 9 o'clock. But like I said, there's a race on at 9 o'clock that I want to watch because NASCAR. And then I don't have to do anything tomorrow. And so tomorrow I can, in theory, attempt to sleep in. But for whatever reason, I'll have no alarm set. I'll have nothing. 7:30, I will I will be wide awake at 7:30. I'm like, why am I up? And the problem is once I wake up, I cannot fall back asleep. I'm one of those types of people. It's also why I can't like take naps because I get if I'm trying to take a nap before something, I will get so anxious that I won't wake up in time that I just won't be able to fall asleep. So, naps are not a thing. It's just more caffeine. That is that is my solution. Oh, I'm tired. Clearly I need another, monster. I always wonder if I get judged when I'm go and return all the bottles and cans because it's all Mountain Dew, Diet Coke, and Monster. Between me and Dad have drink Monster and Mountain Dew. Granted, I drink the Ultra, the Zero, whatever they want to call them. He drinks the regular ones. We both drink Mountain Dew. I will pass on the highs to Dad. Uh, but and so he drinks regular Mountain Dew, regular Monster. I drink the Zero in whatever flavors I can find that week, and then I will drink the Baja Blast because that is the far superior Mountain Dew flavor. Although if Baja Blast is not available, I will drink a Voltage or regular. Again, most places will have regular. Barring that, I will occasionally get root beer. And then Mom drinks diet soda. She either drinks diet soda or wine. So, you know, it's I get the bags from Dad brings to work, and he'll have the it'll just be Mountain Dew and Monster, and then I'll have the bag from my job, and and it's just Monster. So I'm always like, yeah, I always wonder if they're judging the amount of caffeine that is in these bags. Ugh. So once I figured out the whole bitrate thing, it's is the stream like coming across smooth? Is it like is the audio decent? Does it I know I tend to speak very quietly when I'm on a headset, but if you could give me some feedback, let me know if the balance is okay. This way I know if I have to mess with anything before next time I do this. Oh, I disappeared off the stream again. Uh, let's see how close I am with this. I think I have probably two more rows left on that. Okay. Um, we'll go here. I have the different colored buttons. Hopefully, I can reach out to some of the people that I hang out online with and let them know, hey, I'm going. I started the Twitch channel. Come hang out. At the very least, leave a follow. Just come hang out. In the future, if as we as a community grow, I definitely plan on getting input from the chat. Uh, I want to, be like, oh, okay, what do you think we should do? Should we make some of these or some of those? Should we do this color or they're just basic things like that. And I'd love to also be able to have, either a video or just stream in general of, oh, let's pack some orders. Let's get some orders together. But the Etsy shop has been a little slow lately. I need to figure out some more stuff that I can post up there, or at the very least, look into promoting or making some ads. But I would definitely love to get to be like, oh, once I like figure out do something like on my closet back here where I have make a vine, and then the followers get to pick a color flower that I attach to it or something. Something, that's one of those cheesy, hey, it's a sub goal, but it's something to be like, oh, you'll forever be part of the set. But I also not thinking too much about that yet because there's a long road to get to that point where I can even, you know, dream about starting to get subscriptions and subscribers. But followers is a good goal. If we can get to, the 50 followers by the end of the year, I'd be happy. But also, again, I'm not doing that super exciting content. I know that this is not something that people typically want to come hang out and watch somebody do something. So if I can get the fancier yarns, the flashier colors, I don't know, maybe I'll crochet with Twizzlers or something. I have wondered about that. Well, 'cause I have done like the weaving with the peeling Twizzlers with the cherry ones. Just to, because anytime that there's something that is vaguely yarn or string like, I'm like, can I craft it? I've used wire before, and I at one point made a crocheted wire ring. Don't know if I still have it or if I've since gotten rid of it, uh, like unloaded it onto somebody. But I always enjoy finding unique mediums for which I can crochet with. I think it'd be interesting to see if you can crochet. Like I know the EL wire, I think it is. what, what are you trying to make me do, Tom? No, no. I've tried doing clay in the past, and I can do Play-Doh, and that's about it. Because anything past that, it's there's way too much like finesse that goes into doing any sort of sculpture. I'm like, no, thank you. Then I also don't have space for an oven to bake anything. So that would be like, yeah, mom wouldn't let me use her oven to bake clay. That is not something that would happen. But I would definitely like I want to get more involved with creating more of my own original patterns. So like what I'm working on right now, this gift card holder, I modified an existing pattern that I had found where it was originally for like a pencil case or for holding the hooks. Um, but I'm like, oh, you can manipulate this pattern and just use the two stitch combination to do a lot of various button pouches. I use one as my wallet for excuse me, the miscellaneous like cash and stuff in the pocketbook that I don't carry around with me anywhere. But okay, almost done, and then I will sew one of these closed so everybody can see how that happens. What I did always like doing, I think the one of the projects that I had acquired from somebody, couldn't tell you where I got it, was the rug hook, the latch hook from again, it was probably like my dad's side of the family because they were always the more yarn crafty ones. Um, like my grandma, my dad's mom, and his sister did the like needlepoint plastic canvas. And I'm like, yeah, no, I like it. It's cool, but it's a lot harder to it's a lot more involved to create a pattern for that because you basically take a picture and then pixelate it in order to get the pattern for plastic canvas or needlepoint. With crochet, I just kind of, oh, I need a sphere, I need a cylinder, I need you know, the body of an animal or something. It's just, I'm much more comfortable working in crocheting. I do also knit, which some point I'll probably have a knitting project or two going on, but I'm much more comfortable with knitting when it comes to making like the clothing because knitting creates a thinner fabric and it, I don't know, it just lends itself better to clothing. Crocheting creates a very bulky fabric as well as like there are a lot of holes in the fabric that, you know, don't exactly seal things properly. Ugh. Okay, we're just about done with this one. Oh, one stitch too many. There we go. There we go. There we go. Snip that. Store that over there. Tuck this. Hide the end. Okay. And then I'm actually going to sew these together later. But basically, the way that I would do it, I'll show you that much at least. I will go back here. This goes, I need to fold up 3 inches. So I'll measure the 3 inches, line it up so I get the same stitch. I'll secure the tail of the yarn. Well, first, I'll make sure that everything's nice and squared up. The way I go is I start sewing back and forth through both layers till I get here. I thread the tail across. In the middle of it, I'll attach the button and then I'll sew down the other side. But I think I can get one more out of that. So I will do that later off stream. I'm going to switch back to this view for the time being. Um, so thank you for hanging out for my first stream. More than likely, I will go live again on Sunday just to, throw another date out there. I will let people know if I figure out a time that is better for me. And yeah, so thanks guys for hanging out. It's been fun. I will hopefully get better at this in the future. But I will talk to y'all later. And thanks. Bye bye. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Bye bye.